ILTV Plus, your news from Israel and more 24/7. Start your free trial today. Subscribe at iltv.tv and watch from any device. Now, while Israel looking to help the PA refill its coffers and avoid economic collapse, arguments for sustaining financial pressures mounting again. For one, the PA insisting that it will never end its pay-for-slay policy. And now the Palestinian Authority explicitly rewarding the residents of the village of Beita for their often violent and destructive anti-Israel activities. Here to discuss, editor with Honestreporting, Akiva Van Koningsveld. Thank you so much for being with us, Akiva. Now, tell us a little bit about tell us a little bit about this award ceremony.
So on Wednesday, the PA-controlled Yasser Arafat Foundation awarded its annual achievement award to the West Bank village of Beita. And they got this award because of their popular resistance against Israel. So as part of this award, they received a $25,000 prize from the PA's Prime Minister, Mohammed Shtayyeh, and he's also on the board of this Yasser Arafat Foundation. So these so-called resistance units from Beita that have also been receiving support from the PA, they have terrorized Jewish communities in the West Bank already for over 150 days. According to our data, between May and August this year, they burned over 100,000 tires, while the PA blames Israel for climate change. And hereby they seriously damaged the environment, and they created a health threat to both Arab and Jewish residents of the West Bank. And during those same protests, they also burned swastikas combined with stars of David's, and they vowed to literally burn Israelis alive. And they also set a flame of a stereotypical Orthodox Jew.
They burned an effigy. Well, who else was a contender for this Arafat Prize?
So other nominees included social organizations, NGOs, youth organizations. But apparently this PA-controlled award ceremony thought it was a good idea to reward terrorism over these praiseworthy initiatives.
Maybe we can speak a little bit more about, Beita's quote-unquote good deeds, the damages done to the environment, to individuals, to property, because I understand that they've also adopted, and you touched on this for a moment, they've adopted certain tactics from Hamas activists along the Gaza border.
Yeah, these tactics were first used in the Gaza Strip by Hamas. These so-called confusion units, they burn tires, they use laser pointers to annoy Jewish residents of the West Bank. They use all sorts of tactics to drive out Jews from these communities. And this is being rewarded by the PA. A lot of evidence uncovered by Honestreporting shows that the PA is actively backing these protests. Actually, Fatah officials participated in these riots. And they also transferred almost $1 million to the West Bank village of Beita because of these protests, to strengthen their protests.
Does this award violate agreements with Israel? And what repercussions, if any, might we expect to see?
Well, I think it's very clear that the support for terrorism violates the Oslo Accords, in which the PA obviously vowed to apprehend terrorists, and instead of apprehending them and prosecuting them, they're actually rewarding them.
Again, though, would that void certain agreements that Israel and the Palestinian Authority have? What sort of consequences might we see, if any?
Well, this is obviously not the first time that the PA is in violation of the Oslo Accords. There's also, you could talk about the pay-for-slay policy, which the media have also misrepresented on many occasions. For example, Honestreporting pointed out that the Washington Post earlier this summer whitewashed this pay-for-slay policy, which basically encourages Palestinians to murder Israelis and Jews. But just like this Arafat Prize, there's been no media outrage over the support for terrorism whatsoever.
All right, now, Israel, as I discussed earlier and as we've touched upon, is now looking to prevent the Palestinian Authority's collapse by allowing, if not encouraging, more foreign donor investment. As we know, the investments were cut by tens of percentage points over the last couple of years. How can Israel and donor states ensure that the money that they're spending is being spent well, not on terror or in support of terror, violence, or extremist ideologies, especially when you have Fatah and the ruling Palestinian Authority parties actively engaging and in support for these acts?
Obviously, financial support for the PA it's also in Israel, it's a discussion. However, when the PA is rewarding terrorism, Israel has passed a law against the pay for slave policy, and obviously the law should be upheld.
All right, so it's really just a question of withholding tax revenues and punishing them financially, but on the other hand, promoting more people to fund them?
That's a decision that's up to the Israeli government, but the law is clear.
Oh. All right. Akiva, thank you so much for joining us and for your insights into this issue.
Thank you for having me.
ILTV Plus, your news from Israel and more 24/7. Start your free trial today. Subscribe at ILTV.tv and watch from any device.